If you know someone who practices self-injury to relieve emotional pain, don't miss this edition of Lifestyle Magazine. We'll talk with people who know what it's like to harm themselves regularly, and we'll learn what they did to finally quit. And now, the hosts of Lifestyle Magazine, Mike and Gail Tucker.
Our first guest today is Dr. Wendy Lader, Clinical Director of Safe Alternatives, a treatment center for those who self-injure. Welcome to Lifestyle.
Welcome.
Thank
Thank you
you
for coming.
Thanks, good to be here.
What is self-injury?
Self-injury is actually someone taking an implement or hurting themselves in some way, actually usually breaking the skin or burning, in an effort to feel better.
Oh, that doesn't make sense, does it, to most of us?
So you hurt yourself to feel better. Why? What is that?
We don't know exactly what the mechanism is, why that actually happens, but for some reason it does actually help people cope with emotional feelings that seem too intense for them to be able to deal with. And the cutting or burning or whatever kind of self-injury they engage in actually helps them to feel better almost immediately. It's a calming strategy.
Calming.
Wow.
Is it self-punishment I'm just mystified by this. Absolutely.
You're not alone. I think most people are. I think most people who self-injure themselves are actually mystified
by it
as
as
well that it works. But it has a myriad of different reasons and purposes. Sometimes it is self-punishment. It's not unusual for people who injure not to like themselves. Actually, self-loathing can often be the case. So it can be a way of self-punishing. But it is also a way of calming, to be able to manage feelings. It can be a way of communicating a sense of anger, frustration, whatever it might be, to let people know that it's enough.
Right.
Maybe it's not safe enough to say something, so they do something to themselves.
Exactly, and sometimes it is very difficult to say, to express anger directly.
Absolutely.
So oftentimes clients will say they'd rather hurt themselves than someone else. But the bottom line is, no one has to get hurt because someone has a feeling.
Right.
Right.
So who does this more? Is it more with boys? Is it more with girls? Is it both? What?
And is there an age range where it's more common?
Well, this is something new. We didn't know. In treatment, I used to see almost exclusively women.
Okay.
So clinically, we didn't have that much research. We used to think that it was almost all girls and women who were engaging in self-injury. But recent research in non-clinical populations are indicating that almost as many boys and men do it as girls.
Really?
We're not sure where they go.
Yeah.
We're not sure if
Yeah.
it's just more accepted in our society. Boys punch a wall or hurt themselves, play chicken with cigarettes.
Yeah.
So maybe it's our tolerance of it. And they also don't ask for psychiatric help, so we're not sure where they go or what's happening. But we know that boys are saying that they are injuring.
They are injuring
It is
themselves.
happening.
And in terms of the age, that's another thing. We're seeing it certainly, we know in college, high school students, but most of our clients, even though we only treat kids who are 13 and through adulthood, tell us that oftentimes they started very young. Usually people start in adolescence or pre-adolescence, but sometimes we've had people tell us they've started as early as 5 years old,
Really?
6 years old.
Really? I had mostly heard of it in adolescence,
Right,
but it's
very
not just
common.
there. Well, how long have you been doing this work with self-injury?
For more than 20 years, been working with self-injurers.
So obviously this has been around for a while.
Yeah,
then.
it's not something that I had really heard of until recently, but it's been around.
Yes, but it used to be considered a very obscure psychiatric behavior. We used to see it in state institutions and psychiatric hospitals. And we don't know whether that's because people who did this were hospitalized immediately and then they ended up being institutionalized. But I really do believe that this has become much more prevalent. It's not just reporting, that it is much more prevalent, and we're seeing it exponentially. And we get calls all the time from schools, high school teachers and principals and nurses who don't know what to do. It's really almost epidemic.
Yeah. What you said, epidemic. Do we have any numbers as to how many kids are doing this, or how many people are doing it?
We do have
Because
some
it's not just
preliminary.
kids, is it?
No, it's not just kids. And that's one of the things that's very important, because people think it's a fad, that, just ignore it and it will go away. But to recognize that a lot of the folks we treat are well into adulthood, have been doing this for years, and it can be very dangerous, life-threatening, and it can interfere with certainly the quality of one's life. In terms of numbers, there's a recent study out of Cornell, and they investigated almost 3,000 college students from a number of different universities, and they found about 17% had stated that they had self-injury.
17%?
It's that high?
Yes, 17%. And we're finding similar numbers in a couple of studies that have been done in high school populations as well.
Any explanation for why, when it's something that basically kind of used to almost be unheard of or was only in the psychiatric hospitals, now it's that prevalent? What would spread it like that?
Well, as a psychologist, I'm always asking myself, why now? Why now in society are we seeing this? And I think that there are a number of things that have happened in our society in a relatively short period of time that may contribute to the sense of invisibility that kids are talking about now, the sense that they're not being understood, they're not being seen, they're walking through life. And there are many things that have changed. Number one, we have a much higher divorce rate. So kids are more disenfranchised. They're living in different in different bedrooms, actually, from one household to the other. We don't have the safety net, grandparents, aunts and uncles, people who moved across country. We don't have corporate loyalty anymore. People move jobs every 2 or 3 years.
So people really don't know where they fit anymore. Well, what we'd like to do right now is to take a look at a recent documentary entitled Cut to give us better insight to this problem.
Oh, cutting yourself and hurting yourself, you must be nuts. Why would anybody sane would want to do that? But it's not, you're not crazy. You got stuff that's going on and you don't have a way to express it.
Cutting really, to me, wasn't like a big deal at the time, because it was just something for me to get my mind off all the problems that were going on. And now that I've stopped, I don't think I could go back to it.
I noticed on the message board when I was getting ready to write for a record that I had a girl say, "Any cutters out there?" And she was certainly not the first person that brought up self-injury. But for some reason, just the way she said it and the response to her question, she had quite a response. And it wasn't just a girl showed up and said, "Hey, me too." It was just me too, me too, me too, me too.
My self-image of myself at the time was very much that of complete worthlessness. I felt like, well, this is really what I deserve. This is what I'm for.
First of all, nobody would talk about it. There was not a lot of material even to find to read about it, which is very frightening for a parent, and you really feel at a loss, and it's not something you can go to talk to your friends about because it's embarrassing. There's a real stigma involved.
Parents are like, where do I turn? They're petrified that their child is going to kill themselves. I get so many calls from particularly mothers that say, my daughter's getting out of the hospital Friday. She's not ready to get out. She's been there for 3 days. She's got nothing.
We'll be right back with a woman who has lived with self-injury.
Learn English at home. Just say hello.
I'll be honest, at first, I was really frightened. Can you imagine a man my size playing hopscotch? But you know what? It really got things going. We related.
I just stopped what I was doing and asked my daughter what she wanted to do.
Very good. Next week's assignment is to eat dinner together every night and tell me what changes in your family. Class dismissed.
Give your family everything. Give them your time. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Our next guest is Megan, who just recently celebrated her 1,000th day free from cutting. Welcome to Lifestyle Magazine.
Thank you.
Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
1,000 days. Well, you've been involved in self-injury, and we've heard a little bit about that. Can you tell us a little bit about your story and how this came about with you? What is your story?
I started self-injuring behaviors as early as 9 years old.
9 years old.
9 years
That's
old.
pretty early.
So what was
That's,
that?
I can
what's that
remember
like for
doing
a
things
9-year-old?
at the age of 9,
Yeah.
but it wasn't anything that I could really identify as self-injury.
Yeah.
But when I was 15 or 16, I started doing, like, regularly cutting myself. And when I was 17, I went to treatment at Safe Alternatives. And
No,
You say regularly cutting yourself. How regular is regular? How often?
daily,
Daily. How many cuts a day?
it varies. It
could be one.
It could be one. It could be 20. It could be 100.
20.
and I hear about people cutting themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What do people cut themselves with? I mean, did you use, a
I
knife
used
or
a lot of different things.
Is that right? So it could be glass, it could be scissors, it could be a razor blade, it could be anything sharp.
Yes.
And do you know why you were doing this?
No, I don't know. And I wasn't happy with myself, in adolescence at 15 and 16.
But nobody is.
But then again,
Right.
who is?
Right. And I don't know what made me think to start doing this.
Yeah.
But I did, and it felt good. I felt some sort of relief.
It felt good. Now, obviously, the pain itself doesn't feel good, does it? I mean, but the results were good for you.
I felt some sort of like I was human or something.
Human. That's an interesting word. You felt not human when you were not
And it wasn't that I felt inhuman or anything.
Yeah.
It was that I was just numb.
Numb.
So you wanted to feel something.
And this was a way of making that happen.
What made you want to go to treatment the first time?
The first time I went to treatment, like I said, I was 17, and I didn't really have a lot of options. I had been hospitalized before, like on adolescent psychiatric units.
Was that helpful?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No, not at all. And so it was kind of like stay there or go to treatment.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really ready for treatment because
Right.
I wasn't ready to give up self-injury.
Right.
But I went, and I went through the entire program, and I completed the program. And then I went back home, and for quite a while, I abstained from self-injuring. But
So
then
there
it
were some
started again.
benefits. It
There
was
were.
good that
I mean,
you
I
went.
did learn things from the program.
That's good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I didn't apply them because I wasn't ready to.
So tell us about your life after that first time of treatment.
A lot changed after that. I moved across the country and started going to college, and wasn't doing very well. But and I finally came to the point where I was self-injuring a lot regularly. I mean,
Again,
there
every
was
day.
one time where I was in the emergency room on a Wednesday, and then in the emergency room on a Thursday.
So you would
the
cut
same
yourself
week.
badly enough that you required hospitalization, or at least you'd go to the emergency room because of the wounds. And so you decided this has got to stop now.
Right, and I couldn't do it alone. I picked up the phone and hung up the phone, and picked up the phone and hung up the phone. And I finally called Safe again, and was readmitted to the program, and that was 2.5 years ago. And I worked really hard every day. I mean, I was in a panic on the way there because it was like, this is the last time I'm going to be able to do it, because if I can't, I don't know what I'm going to do if I can't stop cutting myself. And I was injuring myself on the airplane.
On the
way to
airplane, on the way to Safe.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And I got to treatment, and like I said, I worked really hard every day there, all 30 days, and I've worked really hard every day since, and I have not injured myself since that time on the airplane.
Wonderful.
On the way to treatment.
Wonderful.
That is really, really good.
What did Safe do that helped you?
They helped me to learn different tools, learn different things that I can apply to my life, different ways to, when I'm thinking about injuring myself, different ways to reframe my thinking.
Okay.
And what is this, is this worth it? What am I going to gain from doing this? Or what am I going to lose from doing this?
Okay. So it's more of a cognitive approach. You're changing your thinking patterns, your thought process with everything that's happening in your life. Okay. Wendy, is she pretty typical of the type of people that come to you?
Very. Of course, there's nothing typical totally about
Yeah,
Megan.
I mean, yeah, well, that's true. In the short time we've talked to her, she
And
is an
I
atypical girl,
Exactly.
woman.
Great personality.
Great personality. But yes, like Megan, most of the people who come to us are creative, have so much to offer,
Yeah.
wonderful people who have whatever's happened in their lives has been very difficult to deal with. The emotions, what Megan was talking about that sense of numbness is not unusual. Or it's the correlate, feeling too much and not knowing what to do with all those feelings and wanting to shut those down. And that's not unusual. It's also not unusual to not be ready the first time, not apply what one learns and not be quite ready for that. But when one is ready, it's a miracle. It's just totally amazing, the transformation that can happen in people's lives.
Megan, we are thrilled for you.
Thank you.
That you've done the hard work and now your life has changed. Do you feel better about this now, about yourself?
I feel great. I don't think about it every day. I just do think about it occasionally.
Yeah.
And I have scars that aren't going to go away.
Why, sure.
But I do wear short sleeves sometimes.
Yeah.
And I do talk to people about it. And I'm graduating college soon.
Absolutely.
And I got into
Wonderful.
grad school. And I'm in a wonderful relationship.
Wonderful.
And my life is together like I never thought it would be.
Thank you so much
That
for
is
telling us your story
wonderful.
today.
Thank you.
We do appreciate it. More on self-injury right after the break.
Thanks for watching Hello Channel. Learn the language of the internet, travel, commerce, and diplomacy. Watch Hello Channel and learn English. Do it for yourself.
Joining us now from Arlington, Texas is Emily. Welcome to Lifestyle Magazine.
Hello.
I want to thank you for your willingness to talk to us today about such a difficult topic.
Thank you for having me.
So how long have you been cutting, Emily?
I started cutting when I was 17, so it's been about 3 years.
Why do you cut?
Well, there's 3 reasons why I cut. One is to escape from emotional pain. The second one is when I cut, I dissociate, so it takes me into another world where I can get away from everything. And the third is a form of self-punishment.
So what is it that sets you off? What is it that makes you want to cut?
Well, it can be a variety of just a vast emotions that I feel. It can be happiness, joy, anger, sadness, or depression. That's just very extreme that I just try to get away from.
So even happy feelings can leave you wanting to cut?
Yeah, just I put myself in extremes, and just to get away from that, it's hard to deal with sometimes.
Emily, I know you have some scars on your arms. Would you be willing to show them to us?
Sure.
So how long has it been since you've last cut?
It's been about 5 months.
Congratulations.
Do you see a day coming when you will no longer have to go through this?
Well, I started the process already, but I think that I've been stuck in such a vicious cycle for so long that the thoughts will always be there, but hopefully that each day that I get away from it will make every day a little bit easier.
So what would you say to someone who's thinking about cutting right now?
Well, cutting is such a vicious cycle, just not to get locked into it. I mean, it completely destroyed my life. I've been through psych wards and hospitals, and I lost all my friends, and it destroyed my family, and it just completely destroys your life. It's not something you want to waste your life on.
Emily, thank you for your honesty and openness, and thank you for joining us today on Lifestyle Magazine.
Thank you.
Wendy, is Emily's story typical of what you hear at your center?
Unfortunately, it's very typical.
Is that right?
She mentioned an eating disorder, very common to have self-injury combined with an eating disorder, and also the destruction of life. A lot of times people minimize self-injury, that it's a fad, everybody's doing it, what's the big deal? But Emily was very clear that she's lost so much through this.
She really has.
Did you feel that way, that it just overtook your life?
It did. I mean, if I couldn't have gotten help when I went back to SAFE, I don't know what I would have done, but I don't think that I would still be here because it had taken over so much that I didn't want to survive.
You don't think that you would still be here?
Right.
So that means that you would have ended your life, or you would have...
I don't know. I couldn't live continuing to self-injure.
There's got to be a sense of hopelessness at times with this whole process of despair. Am I right, or am I speaking wrong?
It is. There is feelings of hopelessness, but there is hope too.
That is the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously you're living proof of that. That there is hope that someone can recover from this.
Yes.
That people can get the treatment.
Be happy.
Be happy. You know, I think that the one thing that Emily said that really struck me again was that she would do this sometimes just to get rid of feelings, and other times to have a feeling. Mm-hmm. Again, is this something that you experienced as well?
Yeah, I completely understand everything that she's saying.
That's incredible to me. I guess a part of the treatment then is to understand that all feelings are good to have.
Absolutely. You just hit the nail on the head. The core, the crux of treatment is about not getting rid of feelings, but learning to accept and embrace feelings, that they're all part of us, and they all have a purpose, and they're all okay. Even uncomfortable feelings. I don't believe there's such a thing as a bad feeling.
Right.
There are feelings that are uncomfortable, but it's learning to accept them and to embrace them.
Right.
They're part of life.
That's part of life.
Well, you know, this is a mysterious and frustrating thing for families, I think, that are dealing with it. What can families do to help their young people that might be experiencing this?
Families sometimes react in two extreme ways. One is to minimize it and to think it's just a fad and just let's ignore it, because if we pay too much attention, it's going to make it worse. And the other is to try to take everything away and to be very hysterical about it. And I can understand both of those tracks. The best thing is really just to hit it head on and to talk to your child and say, I notice this, I'm concerned for you, we're in this together. And we're going to get help. Parents can't really be the therapist, nor should they be. But to pull together as a family and let them know that the child is not alone, is not isolated, that we're all going to work, and this is affecting all of us, and that we care about you.
I cannot thank both of you enough. This is your story is just incredible, and thank you for your willingness to share it with us today. We'll be right back with some more thoughts. You stay with us.
Watch TV and learn English at the same time on Hello Channel.
I cannot thank our guest enough for helping us with this topic of cutting. Wendy, is spirituality ever a component of healing?
For many people, it's a very important part of their healing. Our program is non-denominational, but we do have a spirituality group, and that can be a focal point for many people who come into the program.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, both of you.
You've been wonderful and a great help to all of us. If you're cutting, there is help, and we at Lifestyle Magazine plead with you to get some. Go to our website at lifestyle.org for more information and for some resources. And we will see you again next time. You take care.